The Battlesmith is a subclass for the Artificer, a character class found in the Ebron Rising from the Last War sourcebook. This is
Part 2.
the Battlesmith spell guide. I'm your innkeeper, Vase Odin, and this is the Twisted Tentacle Tavern. Let's go ahead and chat about the Battlesmith spells. Your spellcasting allows you to automatically know all the spells in the Artificer list, which makes things a little bit easier in terms of being able to pick spells. Each time you level up, you get them all. But every morning you get to prepare a number of spells equal to your intelligence modifier plus half your Artificer level rounded down. So you do have a limit as to what spells you're going to be able to take with you on an adventuring day. After a long rest, you can change which spells you've prepared. You can also ritual cast, but for Artificers, ritual casting works a little bit different. You have to have the spell prepared in order to ritual cast it. So just because you know it doesn't mean that you can cast it. You have to have it prepared for the day. Let's take a look at the spells for level 1. So Absorb Elements. This is a great defense reaction spell. At level 1, I think you're better off not preparing it unless you know you're going to be facing elemental damage. In later levels, it'll definitely be a bigger priority, but at the lower levels, you're not going to be taking as much elemental damage. Alarm. This one is pretty good, but like Absorb Elements, I'd hold off for the higher levels. Now, if your intelligence is high and you get a lot of spells that you can prepare, I would spend one on this one since it's a ritual spell and it won't waste your spell slots for the day. Otherwise, I'd say wait up on it. Catapult. This one's a good damage spell and it has some utility. Thing is, as a level 1 spell, you don't want to waste a spell slot and deal 0 damage. It's great for if you use it on a group of enemies in a line formation because you get to, try on multiple targets. You can also use it to move something quickly if necessary. So it does have a lot of versatility that other spells don't have. It's still a little bit situational. So I'd pick this if I had a spare slot. I wouldn't necessarily pick this as a priority. Cure Wounds. This one, I think an Artificer is a decent backup healing class, kind of like a Bard. You definitely don't have to build this way, but if you want to have a backup healing support option, I'd probably pick Cure Wounds. Detect Magic. This one's kind of useful. I think I'd wait for a higher level to use it. Again, it's a ritual, so you do have that option. If you have the extra slot, go ahead and take it, but at lower levels, I don't think that you're going to be needing to detect too much magic. Disguise Self. This one can be useful, especially if you're infiltrating or you're playing a city type game. If you're building your Artificer Battlesmith to be support and more sneaky, then definitely go ahead and take this spell. Expeditious Retreat. This can help you get away in a pinch. It's a good defensive spell, but also a good way to catch up to an enemy who's trying to run away. One I'd probably take if I'm going to be on the front lines. Keep an eye out for the concentration requirement, though. This is something that's really important. Remember, when choosing cantrips and level 1 spells, be sure to limit the number of concentration spells that you prepare for the day, because you don't want to have them competing for your concentration slot, and it's very easy to get tempted into preparing a bunch of concentration spells, and then you're kind of stuck not having any other spells to cast because you're concentrating on one, and all the other ones are concentration spells. So definitely keep an eye on that. Don't be tempted. Don't be tempted. Speaking of which, Fairy Fire is a great option I'd consider taking at level 1. It lets you hit an area with lights that reveal invisible creatures, and it grants advantage in attacks against them, and that's pretty awesome. It's a great buff for the party, and it does take concentration, but this is one that is worth using the concentration slot for. False Life. This one's a definite yes if you're going to be in the front lines. It scales very well and it doesn't require concentration. I would skip it if you're not going to be on the front lines, but one to consider for sure if you are. Featherfall, this one is good, but it's situational. If you need it, it's nice to have it. I've played very few campaigns where I had to cast this more than once the entire campaign. I'd probably skip it. If you really want it and you're playing a campaign where you know that you're going to need it, I'd still wait until later levels unless you have the slots to spare. Grease, this one is one of the best level 1 spells for the Artificer. I'd prepare this 100% of the time. It's fantastic. It's battlefield control, slows down your enemies, and it doesn't require concentration. Combine it with Fairy Fire for massive combat advantage. This is a yes for me almost every time. Identify, I'd probably skip this 99% of the time at level 1. You probably won't be finding too many magic items at this level. Unless your campaign is super high magic, I mean, you probably won't see magic items until maybe level 3 or 4. So wait until then to prepare this spell and save your preparation slot for something else. Jump. This one's a decent buff that requires concentration. It has some situational but effective uses inside and outside of combat. I'd consider preparing this one. Longstrider. I really like this spell. It's 1 hour duration. It doesn't require concentration. I'd probably prepare this on most days, to be honest. Purify food and water. It's useful sometimes, I guess. I wish it was a ritual. I would probably skip it unless you know that you're going to use it, or if you're playing a campaign where resources are really scarce. Otherwise, I'd probably skip it. Sanctuary. This spell is so underrated. You can cast it on yourself or a soft party member. It lasts a minute. It doesn't require concentration, which is a huge plus in my book. Basically, enemies who try to attack the target have to make a saving throw or pick a different target, or they lose their attack. I mean, it's awesome. The best part is that it's a bonus action to cast, so you literally can attack a creature, then cast this so that they can't attack you. I mean, if you attack and target them afterwards, then they can attack you, but that gives you 2 attacks without them attacking you before they can attack you. That's pretty awesome and totally worth it. And if you have a soft party member in the party that you want to make sure that they don't get attacked by creatures, cast it on them. You don't have to concentrate. They get to do their thing, and they're pretty safe. The other cool thing that you can do is later on at level 3 is you can choose not to attack and have your Steel Defender attack them and have that Sanctuary on yourself. So they'll be ignoring you. Your Steel Defender still gets to attack, so you're still getting to do other things, maybe support the party, battlefield control, and that won't affect the ending of this spell. Snare. This one is super situational, and I would say it's decent until you read the area of effect. It's literally a 5-foot radius. This is pretty terrible. If you want to protect the group from an ambush while you rest, or I'd say take alarm instead. This isn't even a ritual, so it makes this one a definite no. So, to recap level 1 spells, Artificers have a really diverse and useful spell list. The best part is that you don't have a whole lot of concentration spells. It frees up a lot of capability because you don't have to worry about competing concentration slots. Later on, you do get a ton of really good concentration spells, but for level 1, definitely go ahead and pick a couple. That's going to be totally fine. The spells I would take most of the time are Fairy Fire, Expeditious Retreat, Grease, Longstrider, and Sanctuary. The definite no's for me are Snare and Identify until later levels. Then at later levels, I might take Identify. At level 3, you also gain 2 spells, Heroism and Shield, which don't count against your prepared spells for the day. Heroism is great for low levels. It grants a constant every round healing of like a few hit points to yourself or a fighter. So it definitely keeps them going in the fight. But it is a concentration spell, so it's not going to be something that you're going to be casting a whole lot of the time. And you have a lot better options as a Battlesmith. So it's probably going to sit on the sidelines. I mean, it's nice that you always have it prepared though. Shield, on the other hand, is a really handy spell to always have prepared. It can save you from being hit on so many occasions from level 3 all the way to level 20. The best part is you can combine this with your Steel Defender. So you can use your Steel Defender's reaction ability because it doesn't use your reaction, and then you can use your reaction to cast Shield. So Steel Defender is going to grant disadvantage on 1 attack, plus you're going to have a +5 to your AC till the end of the round. So that's really awesome. And you can combine them, which makes you almost impossible to hit. This really improves your survivability. And at level 3, when you become a Battlesmith, you can, if you want, you can become a frontline fighter just as good or even better of a tank than the Barbarian or the Fighter. Between the Shield spell, the Steel Defender, and a couple of other spells that are going to help you survive. Or at least they have a pretty good chance of not being targeted. Loki. All Alright, Papu. Good boy. Good boy. Come on. You got him. Papu, you got him. You got him.